Okay, here we go. Show number 6. You ready for this?
That's a lot.
Okay, so show number 6. We've made it to show number 6. Sorry, we've had a little bit of a delay. I think both of our schedules have been a little difficult. We both decided that we had to get in before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Mike.
I'm Paul.
If you listen to the last show, I don't know if you'll hear this show before the last show, but Paul let the cat out of the bag and turned me in.
Mm-hmm. Hey, but you know what? I'm not feeling too bad because it wasn't too much longer after that you let the cat out of the bag to the public.
Yes, I did. I guess I could talk about that too.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, so here's the deal. We don't really generally have show ideas out before, or subjects, I suppose, out before we actually do the show. We kind of generally put it together right at the last minute because I don't know if it's because life is hectic or what, but I kind of wanted to maybe take this a little direction, and because it's before Thanksgiving, actually do a kind of a Thanksgiving show, maybe a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because there is something that I got to witness that was interesting, but kind of do a little bit of a Thanksgiving show, and then we've also decided to try to stay away from the negatives a little bit. We've come up with a bunch of fun quotes and stuff to go over today.
Yeah, which will be a nice change of pace. I mean, not saying that we'll never come back to the evils of the world.
There's always a good idiot to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that, we know that there's probably some Christian listeners, and there's a good chance that we may even have some of our own family listening. But not everybody's crazy.
No.
We understand that. We want to put that out there. So here we are. I'm Mike. Officially, I'm Mike. People. I mean, other than the fact that you don't hear my last name yet, I'm not going to divulge that. But a couple weeks ago on Facebook, that's about a week ago on Facebook or so.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody saw those basically quiz. I don't know if quiz. It's things that you didn't know about me that were flying around. And if you liked the post that the person made, then you wound up, they would give you a number, and then you would have to give so many things of what people don't know about you. And I used that as an opportunity because the person who posted happened to be an atheist as well. And she just let it all out. And I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. So I did it. I came out officially on Facebook as an atheist.
And we applaud you, sir.
It was fantastic.
I can imagine.
In fact, I guess I could read this just because it is kind of humorous. I mean, it was a little random, if you will. It wasn't all about the religious end of things, but it did spark a little conversation. I was hoping that by posting it that people would start asking me why I am, I guess, an atheist, as opposed to ignoring it. Because people who are confronted with a friend being an atheist generally tend not to say anything, just as much as I probably tend not to say anything to those who are Christian who post their Bible verses of the day. I generally don't tend to comment on those as much as I want to.
No. Yeah.
I don't know. How often does that happen to you?
What, the desire to
Post.
comment?
Yeah, comment.
There is always some sort of counter that goes through my mind every time I see a posting like that, but I just stay away because the Facebook is it's always been to me less of a platform than it is a place for people to stay in touch with each other. So I've really tried to stay away from social issues and issues of religion, existential kind of things. I do shamelessly promote advances in science on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
But that's completely different, I think. I think anybody, no matter, most people, no matter whether they are a believer or a non-believer, can find entertainment in the amazing things that human beings can do when they put their minds to it. And that's why I love science so much. So.
And it shouldn't be offensive.
No, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be offensive at all.
It is to some, but I don't get that. But
So the way that the Facebook post starts out is it's this: my friend and colleague gave me a 7 in the things you don't know about me game. I've decided that I will be as honest as she was. This is actually what I posted. This is how it goes. I've decided that I will be as honest as she was in hers. My hope is that you will get to know and understand me a little better as a friend, and I'll also open it up for questions if there are any that are curious. So, let's start off with number 1. I feel loved and cared for in my community, but I feel distant and hidden in a few ways, which is kind of what we talked about a little bit. Until you come out as an atheist, you just kind of feel distant in a lot of ways, and people post comments, post Bible verses, and you just don't know what to do with it.
right.
So then I went right to number 2. I am an atheist/secular humanist. I always do that. I was thinking about this too because there's some quotes that I know I'm going to pronounce like names wrong.
Yeah, well.
I know it's going to happen. And people feel free to email and tell me how much of an idiot I am. That is beinghumanist.podcast@gmail.com. So I am an atheist/secular humanist. The statement is bold for me considering I live in a very faith-based community. In some areas, this could seriously hurt my ability to have a decent career and or good standing in a community. Hopefully, by opening up about it, some of you will ask questions about why I am, and we can have a civil discussion about it. I am a lover of all people, which I hope everyone can see undeniably, and that you can understand that being an atheist is not as a scary or evil thing to be. I asked that, but I didn't really get questions, which was a little frustrating. I was like, come on, debate, ask me questions.
Right.
I'm not going to necessarily go through all this, but let's see. Number 4, I'll skip number 3. I've only ever voted progressive liberal because it is the only thing that makes sense to me. And then I continue on. I hope one day I will be able to vote conservative because it is the right thing for me to do. Seriously, no pun intended. I said that because I don't want to be the person who goes one way all the time. I mean, I hope that there are people who have opposing viewpoints to me feel, it's like, okay, I can vote for this person. This makes sense.
Openness is a key.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to be open.
But at this point, I haven't really run across that. I'll be honest, the last election, I voted straight Democrat. Take it. I didn't vote any libertarians, although there were a couple that I was really close to doing it.
Right.
But anyway. Number 5, I think, is kind of important. I am constantly evaluating myself and questioning my reasoning and thoughts. I like to always think about the other side or what the other side would do. I hope that makes me a better person by playing devil's advocate with myself, which I guess is kind of what I just said.
Yeah.
Now, the fun one. My favorite holidays are Thanksgiving and Christmas. Being an atheist, many may scoff at this idea. How can you enjoy Christmas? You don't believe in it. But my reasons are simple. 1, I love family time, and these are the most perfect times for being with them in our current time, and these are the most Yeah, my eyes are going cross. Sorry. My being an atheist, many may scoff at this idea, but my reasons are simple. One, I love family time, and these are the most perfect times for being with them in our current times, and the food is always amazing. You may question more on the atheist Christmas side of things, but what many don't know is Christmas, like Easter, was a pagan holiday celebrating a seasonal solstice. In the end, regardless of your personal beliefs, for me, our culture has made it about family in general, and that is what I love about it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. All of that regarding the holidays. I would never stop celebrating them based on my belief, just because it's more than just a religious holiday now. It's a cultural tradition.
Which is all it ever really was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was just adopted.
True. That's very true, and yeah, there's no reason for us to stop celebrating it, regardless of if it signifies the birth of Christ, which he wasn't born on December 25th.
there's no.
If he was born at all. Yes, I know that's a fringe position, and I'm not saying that I hold it.
I wish you all could have seen. I almost gave your name away. I wish you all could have seen Paul look at me the way he did when he said, "If he existed." I do want to say, the last one was the way number 7. I used this as a way to put a buffer out there and try to get people not to be so ready to jump on me. But it was just, lastly, I am willing to try almost any food as long as it doesn't make me sick to think about it. Which I think could you imagine eating monkey brain?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Mostly because, the reason for this is mostly because I love learning about other cultures. However, when it comes to ice cream, I am conservative. I only eat mint chocolate chip, and it has to be green. Chocolate or coffee flavored ice creams. So I kind of stick to 3 ice creams. Is that ridiculous? Yeah.
Hey, personal taste.
So I finish off with, if you like my comments, I'll give you a number, but understand that I hope you'll approach this opportunity as honestly as I try to. More importantly, know that I am willing to talk about anything I've posted here, including the ice cream situation. The cool thing about this is, okay, so I got 18, 19 likes total, but I got an overwhelming amount of comments, and they were all positive.
Yeah, I was really, I was actually pretty happy to see that. I'm sure that those people that had something negative to say just went ahead and avoided the status altogether. But I don't know if you know this, but you're pretty well liked around this area, and I just couldn't see anyone attacking you. You've always just given everybody so much respect. Anybody that you come across, you've given them the respect of being a human being, and regardless of where they stand. And I think that respect was returned to you. I think you were reaping the rewards of the way you have conducted yourself over the years.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I appreciate it's. I guess I think about that because I want to have this conversation, but I can't find myself into that conversation. It's only when someone else has already started it that I jump in. Mm-hmm. When I try to do this, it doesn't really get. Now granted it happens, but I don't know.
Yeah.
People shy away. I don't know if people are afraid to get in an argument with me. Maybe I'm too nice.
Maybe. But
people fear the anger.
I will say that I have noticed that when you are passionate about something, Mr. Nice Guy completely leaves your face, like you're in your facial expression and everything. You're very strong in your convictions, and that's respectable. But at the same time, you said you do play devil's advocate with yourself. But you definitely defend your position with vigor.
Can you give me an example?
Well, we have a Friday night tradition
Okay.
of guys. We call it guys' night. Just us and our other male friends get together, play some cards, have some beers, things like that.
Hanky-panky.
Yeah. And a lot of times we get into some pretty deep conversations, and every once in a while they do get into the political or religious realm.
Right.
And the group that we are a part of isn't overly religious. There are a couple of people
Right.
that are, but there's actually a pretty nice mixture of viewpoints, though, I would say.
Right.
We have a couple of friends that are on the conservative end of things. We have a couple of friends that are bleeding heart liberals, and then we have some that are kind of moderates.
Right.
Which moderate is where I used to stand. But I was a moderate for all of the wrong reasons. just to throw that out there, and we can come back to that. But,
Okay.
Anyway, during some of these conversations, and I'm not going to name any names, there is a certain person who will throw out his 2 cents, and I can just see the frustration on your face when this particular person goes into his spiel, and you don't handle this particular person lightly.
And so what is your observation? Because I know that we talk about this every once in a while, but I don't know if I want to say that they get under my skin, but I know what you're referring to.
Yeah. Well, he supposedly sits on the opposite side of the fence of us on just about everything, it seems like.
Right.
I mean, there are very few things that we can bring up that he will agree with. And I don't know if that's just because he likes to argue, or if he truly holds those positions. He may, and I don't want to speculate one way or the other, I guess. But he's a stubborn guy, and maybe we are too. I don't know. So,
I can see myself being stubborn.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm kind of stuck in my viewpoint, but
at the same time, I will say that this guy is a conservative believer that is one of my best friends. He's not a believer in the traditional sense. He doesn't go to church. He doesn't even necessarily put much stock into the Bible, but he believes in a higher power of something created us, and I think he believes that he can petition to that creative force to intervene.
Yeah, I suppose we did get a little fired up at the last meeting. There was a brief conversation about not being able to do anything with an English degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It hit close to home for you.
Yeah, it did. I think too often there's a tendency for people to think that just because you get a degree in something what will you do with it? And I am of the belief that if you go into college and you get a degree, you can probably do pretty much anything with the degree. It's just a matter of doing it.
Right.
And putting yourself out there to do it. But I think too many times people think, oh, I'm not going to get anything. And I got really fired up about it because, if you do college to me is a way to network. It's not just about going and get a diploma. You meet people and you move on, kind of deal. And I think that's what happened with me. Right.
And I also think that as far as the college degree goes, no matter what, if it is a degree that seems to be a little harder to land I think the problem with people is they're not adding into that statement that it's a hard degree to land a job with around here is what they want to. You have to be sometimes willing to relocate, and a lot of people are comfortable in.
They're scared.
Yeah.
It's like you just got to do it.
Yeah.
And especially in our viewpoint, you got one life.
Yes.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I don't know how far off topic we're getting here, or where we're going. I don't know that this show really has a diagram. Or
I don't think it does. I think this is a fly by the seat of our pants
we
show.
are flying by the seat of our pants. But I think, when it comes down to it, we are on that. People say, what do you have to live for?
Everything.
I mean, seriously, what are the chances that we're even here? The fact of the matter is that we are here, and there's a lot of fun stuff to do.
Yep. And you know, there is so much, if you would just take the time to research and to learn about what information is available to us, there is so much wonder in reality that there is literally no need to appeal to an afterlife, I think. To wish for, to want so longingly an afterlife, because there's just so much wonderful, so much that's wonderful in this life. And
We are so tiny. We are, as a race, as a single human being, we are so minuscule in the scheme of things. And then at the same time, there are other life forms on this planet who barely fit on our radar.
right. Yeah.
So much smaller than us. And the idea that if people think that we can't go and look at a mountain range and just be totally amazed at the size of it, and I mean, there are people who say, how can you appreciate that if you don't have faith in whatever? And I don't know, man. To me, it just blows my mind to see the Earth as it is shaped that way because of plate tectonics.
Right. And
It's like, to know, it is so cool to know how certain things have formed just because of the way nature and the way the Earth moves.
right.
That shit is cool.
It is, and it's absolutely, it's fascinating, and it's actually, when you get down to it and you just take a step back and look at the natural process, it's actually, I think it's beautiful. I think it's kind of beautiful, and the fact that we are so lucky to have somehow, some way, been given the natural through the process of nature, become cognizant, and to be able to enjoy all that's around us. How lucky are we to be able to? And I remember Carl Sagan saying that something along the lines of, I'd read that he had said, "We are the universe experiencing itself." And
Deep.
Yeah, and it's to me, that is one of the quotes that I always go back to. It's so beautiful. We are the universe because, and as you know, we're all made of the atoms that were forged in the stars that just became spread out, and they've just so happened to compile in a way that was conducive to life. And here we are the universe. It's just becoming aware of itself, and who knows how many other places across the universe that's happening. It's like,
dude, I'm in a mind trip right now. I've never really thought about the idea that is just nuts.
I think the exact quote was, "We are a way for the universe to know itself." So our collective knowledge, think about it, our collective knowledge, we learn all of these things about the natural world,
Right.
and it all comes together into one big pool of collective knowledge.
Uh-huh.
And we have all these tiny little pieces, which is us, but it all comes together as one big glob of collective knowledge about our little section of the universe.
And how vast it is.
Yeah. And we know that it's vast. We don't know much about what's beyond our scope. We know nothing about what's beyond our scope. But
Multiverse.
yeah, multiverse, that's a theory that's well, it's not a theory in the scientific sense. It's actually, there are evidences for a multiverse, and there's a good show on, actually, if anybody has an Amazon Instant Video, there's a little series called The Fabric of the Cosmos. It's a 4-part series, and it goes into, there's a episode of that dedicated to the multiverse and the evidences for it. But as of now, like, we do have to remain speculative about skeptical of the multiverse theory, because it just doesn't have enough to hold up yet. Same with things like string theory. And some might argue, okay, well, if science is going to take theories like string theory and multiverse theory seriously, why can't we take intelligent design theory seriously? Well, because intelligent design has already given us the answer for something that we can't test, and it's come to light
Yeah.
that we may be able to test for multiple universes. We can't yet, so it is still speculation. But there are evidences that we may be able to plausibly test for those things. But
That's cool stuff.
yeah,
We're
is.
getting really deep here. I'm sure we're all over the place, and anybody that's listening right now is freaking out.
Yeah, today's just going to be a conversation, kind of along the lines, I think, of our
First show?
First show, it's just
Which has more downloads than any other one of them.
somehow.
Well, I think part of it's because of what it is,
It
but
probably is just because it is the first show.
yeah,
And yeah, so I guess today is, you already know who we are, how we came to our positions of belief. I guess today we're just gonna riff on whatever.
I'm trying to decide whether I should save the Thanksgiving rant till the end or if I should do it now. Because to me, I've run across there's a group on my campus, and by the way, I sent you an email early this morning to your school address.
Oh, okay.
To give you some information. But anyway, this is a secular student group who has just started up on my campus, and they want to do some fun things on campus to awaken people to what humanism/atheism is, and the idea that people don't realize how many of their favorite TV stars or actors / famous people that they look up to are actually atheists.
Right.
And I kind of want to go through this list. Now, the fun thing is while this list has some really cool people on it, it has some suck-ass people on it, too.
Oh, yeah. There. I'd noticed that. There are some people that are not do not add to the cause of humanism. They're not humanists, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
These people that we're taught, like Kim Jong-il is one of them.
Yeah.
Fidel Castro.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's on there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are what they are. We have to claim them.
Right. It just like the religious have to claim their terrible people, we have to claim ours.
Which means you Christians and Catholics get to take good old Hitler.
And before you go into that, one more thing about claiming our own.
Uh-huh.
I think one thing that atheists have to remember is that even though we don't believe
Mm-hmm.
in a God, we must always, I think, personally, say that we remain open to that possibility.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we do become dogmatic.
Even Richard Dawkins himself, on his scale of 8 or 7 that he has,
Right.
he considers himself one away from full-blown atheist because he can't know.
Right.
That's how he feels. And yes, I agree. You can't get yourself into this. Sometimes I worry about the idea of becoming a militant atheist.
Yeah.
And like everybody must believe exactly how I believe. That's not cool.
No.
While I think you and I would probably hope that everybody would just totally eliminate the idea that there's a Christian God or God in particular or a religion, that is. I think that you still want to have the discussion of thought. I mean, you have to be able to say, well, maybe not, but at least there's this, you want to entertain other people's ideas.
Yeah, definitely. You have to, and it's only fair. And there has to be an openness to it. And if not, you are just becoming dogmatic and you're becoming the thing that you criticize.
Exactly. And that's not cool. I mean, I think for me, that's kind of what humanism is. I mean, you want to respect everyone's beliefs, no matter what. Period.
Absolutely. It's tough for... well, maybe not.
Not respect
maybe,
each other's beliefs,
I wouldn't
but
say,
respect the people.
Yeah, I wouldn't say period, because I can't respect any supposed... there's a dog
There's a
in there.
dog next door that's whining.
Any of this rigid, supposed, revealed knowledge that so many of us have based our entire lives upon. It's an unchanging dogma. I respect a person as a person, and that I respect that they think that they're doing the right thing, but I actually don't respect the belief that is the end-all, be-all of, and there's no openness to that. So I'm sorry, I just can't respect that aspect of belief. The religious aspect of belief, I suppose, is what that would boil down to.
Okay, so here's this list. I want to go through the list and just kind of name a few people, but when I name these people, I want you to tell me whether or not you would have thought that.
Okay.
I don't know if we can turn this into a fun game or whatnot, but I'm just curious if you would have thought that, maybe why.
Okay.
So, number one is Woody Allen.
Sure. I don't see why not. He doesn't strike me as. I've seen a few of his movies. I'm not overly familiar with his work, but I know he's Jewish.
He is of Jewish,
But he's obviously non-practicing.
right.
But
Some people
No.
make the comment that, you could consider us atheist Christians.
sure, I guess if you want to.
When you come up in a certain style of your environment,
Yeah.
you come up in those morals and or belief systems and whatnot, and you kind of all have the same. You all react with each other the same way, and I think you will hear people say that they're atheist Jews, atheist Muslims, and I've heard that thrown around before. So I just wanted to put that out there.
No, I can't say that Woody Allen would be that surprising. I mean, I've never really noticed that he's appealed to any kind of belief in his work or anything like that.
I was actually already aware.
Yeah, I was also aware of that, but even if I weren't, I don't think I would be surprised by.
How about Lance Armstrong? This is a person who battled cancer.
You know, I'm not. No, I don't know that I'm surprised, I guess. I don't know that I don't know that he's a credit to atheists.
He did kind of cheat.
Because he cheated, and he also did a lot of, and I don't know the exact details. I guess you'd have to look it up. But he did also go behind a lot of people's backs to make sure that the information didn't get out.
Yeah.
So
my thoughts and feelings on Lance are kind of, it's not my business.
no, it's not my business. And I'm glad that he was able to overcome cancer without appealing to any kind of wishful thinking. He put all of his stock in medicine, and that's what we should be doing. We should be thanking the people
exactly
that have dedicated their lives, and a lot of those people in medicine are religious, whatever, that's fine, but they still have dedicated their lives to learning the craft. That's who we should be thanking.
How about Kevin Bacon?
Kevin Bacon, he's kind of just a guy that's in a lot of movies.
I don't know that there's any. I mean, yeah, he's been in a lot of movies. I don't know that I've ever looked at him as being somebody who is extremely influential, though.
Not really influential either. No, so I guess maybe it surprises me a little bit. I mean, he's a white American male. I mean, it does go against the norm for a white American male to be Christian, I guess. Or to be an atheist, I suppose. I mean, we're in the minority. So I guess we should be surprised anytime we hear that someone is.
Yeah, true. I always get a kick at looking at these lists. And by the way, this is from BuzzFeed.com. And we'll make sure to put the link in there so you can see it too, in our liner notes. But I'm going to skip a few because this one, Rodney Dangerfield.
I tell you, I get no respect.
If I don't know that he really went above and beyond to talk about it.
No.
But if he did, it probably would have been freaking hilarious.
I think so too. And when I learned about Rodney Dangerfield, I actually was a little surprised because he comes from a time where it definitely was not something that people would speak about as freely. So I think, I would say Rodney Dangerfield would fall into the surprise category. Maybe that's just me stereotyping. I don't know.
How about Jodie Foster?
Not really. Not surprised by that one at all. Especially after seeing the movie Contact, she seemed to really play that atheist role well.
Yeah. I think I can agree. And Not only that, but
It was written by Carl Sagan, the movie Contact.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
Jodie Foster also kind of recently officially came out as gay too, didn't she? Didn't she do
yeah,
an acceptance speech? And for me, now that's not to say that all gay men, women don't subscribe to a religion, because I have very close friends who do.
plenty.
But in her case, it makes sense, I think, yeah. How about Sigmund Freud?
No. Anyone who's as educated as a man like, and that's going to make me sound pretentious, but anyone who's as educated into the psyche of the human condition, no, that doesn't surprise me at all, because I think the more you learn about the way the brain works, and I think actually the study of the brain may be the thing that eventually cures us of the faith virus, as Peter Boghossian would put it.
I've only ridden so far into that book, but I'm getting really, it's good.
Yeah, it is good.
We're speaking of a manual for creating atheists by Peter Boghossian. So far, I'm like 70 pages in, and I have it's like I'm reading it as I'm going to bed, and I'm like falling asleep. It's like, no, must stay awake, must read.
Yeah. That title's very misleading, by the way.
Yes. I think it could easily be an off-putting thing for a lot of people, but
Maybe that was. I've speculated that maybe that was on purpose. Maybe he thought if he doesn't want the, I don't know what. Maybe he doesn't want people that are believers currently to read it. He just wants to appeal to the non-believers. But the book's more about encouraging critical thought and questioning what you think you know. He gives plenty of methods for you to try out in conversation, and they're great.
the foreword was actually fantastic. It was written by someone who was an evangelist years ago, and he said that he'd wished that he read the book back then, because he probably would have gone from evangelist to atheist within one reading.
Yeah. I believe that was Michael Shermer.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to skip forward to Mr. Ricky Gervais. Is it Gervais or Gervais?
Ricky Gervais.
Gervais.
Yeah, no, that's not surprising. It's all he ever talks about.
Yeah. If you follow him on Facebook, it's a constant. He is just shoving it in people's faces.
Yeah.
He's actually sat down with one of the four horsemen,
Richard Dawkins,
and had conversation. I watched that on YouTube. That one was pretty obvious. It is humorous, though, to go back and look at some of his movies, and after you realize that he's an atheist, the invention of lying, is that what it's called? Man, that movie, if a Christian watches that movie and they're not an atheist by the end of it.
I'm familiar with I haven't seen the movie. I'm familiar with the plot because my wife actually watched the movie. She watched it around the time that it was released. I think she actually may have seen it in the theater, but it was off-putting for her at the time.
Oh, it is. I don't even know that I really caught on to it. I may have. I forgot about it, but I rewatched it about a month or so ago, and it was one of those, oh my God, he is totally attacking religion.
I'll have to watch it one of these days.
Mr. Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner. Well,
I don't know that I would or would not have assumed he would be an atheist.
No, I don't know. If he were a Christian, he would definitely
be going to hell?
Well, he would at least be under the impression that that's where he would be going. Because, the big man upstairs, all he cares about is what we do with our genitals.
Yeah.
That's one of his biggest concerns.
Yes. Seth Green. That one kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, he's just very associated with Seth MacFarlane,
right,
who is a known atheist, and yeah.
Che
Guevara.
Che Guevara. Forgive me if I don't want to butcher that. Che is an interesting man, and I think his face is an immediate, oh my God, socialism face, I think. But at the same time, very, very intelligent man, and it makes a lot of sense to me, because I think I actually watched a movie about the guy. He's a doctor.
Oh, really?
He was a doctor, yes. He was, but I think he got to a point where he saw so much social injustice that it just drove him mad, and he felt like he had to do something, and that's what wound up happening. And obviously, people didn't like it.
Hmm.
But I don't think people.
I would say he's the least surprising person on this list so far.
Maybe, yeah. Then you've got Ernest Hemingway.
Okay, that one might be a little more surprising, just again based upon the time that he comes from, and
But he was a deep thinker.
yeah, he was. Yeah, anybody, not everybody, but a lot of people who will sit and contemplate their existence will realize, religion. Come on.
Yeah. Eddie Izzard. I feel like I should probably speed this up or something because there's 101 of these names and we're at number 25.
Yeah.
But Eddie Izzard is an interesting character, and I think he was the guy that. Do you know who this is?
Yeah, he kind of developed as his career went along. He didn't start out his career as an atheist. He ended up being one.
Interesting.
Yeah, I believe he's kind of made a transformation as he's been in the spotlight.
Right. Well, he did the hour comedy show on HBO or whatnot called the Professional Transvestite. That was my first known experience with that guy dressed as a woman, makeup and whatnot, and it was the most hilarious thing I'd ever seen. And as a early 20s kid, to see a man dressed in a situation where I hadn't even found myself yet, I'm thinking, should I be laughing at this guy? This is not normal. But freaking fantastic comedian. You should definitely check him out if you don't know him. One of my favorites on this list is Billy Joel. Because a lot of people grew up with that guy, with his music as a soundtrack to their life. Did you know that he was an atheist?
I didn't know that until like the last couple of years.
Yeah, me too. Which
is funny because people, I mean, like my mom just adored some of his music, and that doesn't really make any difference. But I mean,
you're not gonna know. I don't know that he's explicit about it.
He's not. He's just made some comments when asked, and he's been honest.
Yeah.
I see one on the list that surprises me a little bit.
Oh?
And it kind of lowers my opinion of him. Norm Macdonald.
Lowers your opinion?
Yes, because the guy's seemingly a little bit homophobic.
Oh,
he makes a lot of disparaging marks about gays in his stand-up, and if you're an atheist and you're homophobic, what's your reasoning other than just being an asshole?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think it must be pointed out, obviously, there's a difference, again, between atheism / humanism.
That's true, yeah. I hate to get him mixed up, but I just don't, but if you don't believe that there's any sort of, maybe he just thinks it goes against nature and it's gross.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who are just grossed out. I mean, I'm going to be honest, it's not like I'm extremely happy to see.
Yeah, but I think Norm's a funny guy. There's no.
Oh, he's always one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah. His sports show on Comedy Central. I don't know if you ever watched that.
I don't think I ever watched it.
I could not keep it together watching that show. It was so hilarious.
On the same right, though, he did the Weekend Update on SNL,
which was awesome.
I pissed my pants every time I watched the thing.
He never let up on O.J. Simpson.
A guy on here that I look up to from even as a kid is Bruce Lee, though, and I think that would actually make a bit of sense. My guess is he was probably, I don't know the history completely of Bruce Lee, but I think there was a lot of Buddhism influence on him, probably, as it were.
Yeah, I could see that. And Buddhists don't.
It's not a religion. It's a philosophy of life. It's a way to live.
Yeah, I don't know. There are things about it I consider that make me think about religion when I
really?
look into it, but you're right. It seems like it's presented as more of a philosophy, but if it is a religion, it's an atheistic religion.
And of course, John Lennon.
Oh,
if you don't know that John Lennon isn't an atheist or at least a humanist, then something's wrong with you.
That's no surprise.
Let's see here. Seth MacFarlane's on there. I think that was pretty obvious. Jack Nicholson surprised me. I don't know why, but it did.
Huh. I guess I can't really make an opinion on that one way or the other.
It makes him that much cooler to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it just surprised me a little bit.
George Orwell, that's awesome. One of my 1984, one of
Yeah.
the greatest novels
Great
ever
movie.
written.
Great book, yeah. Great movie. Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, which in itself is kind of cool because the kid is 21, 22. I mean, he's not that old.
Yeah.
He's
That right there should make it less surprising for you. He's got two factors going for him that should make it not surprising.
Yes.
He's from that generation that kind of thinks religion's a little bit silly.
Yes.
And he's from the UK.
Yes, I agree. Atheism is certainly much higher in the UK than it is here.
Right.
Andy Rooney was something that I didn't know, and it surprised the hell out of me.
I actually knew that about Andy Rooney. I remember when I was a kid, my mom and dad saying they liked what he had to say, but they hated that he was an atheist. So I've known that since I was a child.
Sarah Silverman's on the list, and
Another non-practicing Jew, apparently.
yeah, and I totally can see that.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
She's one of those satirical comedians who
Mhm.
likes to push the limits and really she makes people uncomfortable.
And she does.
And she's obnoxious, but I think it's awesome.
Mhm.
Howard Stern, I don't even
Nah.
know that's, yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Ted Turner,
That does surprise me.
that one surprised me a little bit, but then I saw an awesome documentary where Stephen Fry visits Ted Turner on his ranch.
Ooh.
And it was an interesting deal. I was like, wow. A lot of people say Ted Turner's crazy. He might be a little nutty, but he's a conservationist.
That's a good thing.
Eddie Vedder, I don't think that's very surprising.
Not at all. Ted Williams is a little surprising.
Which is also really cool. Frank Zappa, man.
Not at all.
Mark Zuckerberg, though, at first surprised me, but then again, I can see it. Founder of Facebook, young guy. Of course, there's the whole young, on top of the world, have all kinds of money, what do I have to worry about?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of atheists, there seems to be a lot in that situation. Charlie Chaplin, I think that was kind of obvious if you read about his life.
Right.
But Jamie Heineman, I love this one.
Yeah?
You know who this is?
Yeah, from Mythbusters?
Yes. He, as well as his cohort, who is also on this list further down, Adam Savage. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
You mentioned the other Savage earlier, and I always get those two
Yeah, it's
confused.
Adam Savage.
But anyway, yeah, lots of people love those guys. They're
Uh-huh.
proving things wrong or right, doing experiments all the time,
Uh-huh.
and they are atheists.
Yep, and that's...
I claim them.
I claim them, and what they are doing is in the spirit of free inquiry, and that's what we need from everyone. And they kind of remind me of James Randi, only they're busting urban legend rather than claims of having connections to the paranormal, psychic, and things like that.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. I just recently liked his page on Facebook.
Yeah,
He's an interesting fellow.
I'm a big fan of James Randi.
I'm going to read through these names really quick. Angelina Jolie, Larry King, Stanley Kubrick, John Malkovich, Helen Mirren, and Gene Wilder. I think all of those make a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'm looking at one right here, Katharine Hepburn. I remember
Oh, yeah.
I remember finding out about that.
That one blew my mind.
Yeah. Harvey Fierstein.
Penn and Teller.
Duh.
If you didn't know. Yeah. Warren Buffett, that's cool. I love seeing that.
Absolutely.
Between he and Bill Gates.
One of the most prominent philanthropists that we have.
Mm-hmm. Thomas Edison, I don't know that should or should not have surprised me.
Well, if we want to equate somebody who has inquired into the workings of things,
It would make sense.
it would make sense.
Then Janine Garofalo, if you're listening to this show, I love you. I just want to put that out there. Ayn Rand. I said that.
Yeah.
I knew it, but
I don't like her
I don't really care
individualistic views on things.
for her. Does she almost have a nihilistic approach?
Kind of. I mean, she's, Republicans just love her.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is hilarious.
That survival of the fittest kind of
the party of God.
Yeah.
No offense to those who don't look at it that way, but tell me that the Republican Party don't use God for votes.
Yeah, they do. Sometimes I wonder how many of those Republicans are really genuine, and how many are just playing to that demographic that they know they can get votes from.
Well, there's somebody else that we'll get to in a little bit who fits in that category, kind of. He's an actor, not really a politician, but he does feel a certain way.
Okay. How do you feel about going on your Thanksgiving rant? Because I actually have to take a leak. I drank a whole big thing of coffee.
So I'll go on a little rant here, and you'll go pee.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be fun.
All right. So
pay no attention to this mic sound.
Here, I'll just do this.
Mute me.
Yeah, you're muted, kind of. So this is okay. We're at like number 80 on this list, but I'm gonna go ahead and skip on it since Paul has to go to the bathroom. Loser. This Thanksgiving thing. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of the Black Friday. I'm getting a little frustrated, especially with this country. I have a lot of situations where this country is supposed to be a Christian nation. So many people lay claim to Christianity in this country, and that this country is all about Christianity. And which I have issues between that and the Republican Party, because I feel like they try to use that to their advantage, and I think it's a lot of bullshit. It gets really annoying to me. And for a country that is supposed to be based on these values of family and everything, Thanksgiving sticks out like a sore thumb to me. It isn't a Christian holiday per se that am aware of, but it is a holiday that obviously it also has its dark parts too, because it does have the Pilgrim and Indian Native American backstory to it. But as what we have turned it into today is a holiday of family. It's a give thanks to what you have holiday. And it's the third Thursday or the last Thursday of the month of November. It's a little frustrating to me to see how this consumerism has taken over the country. I am not going to get to see my wife on Thanksgiving. A little frustrating, because the place that she works for has decided that they're going to be open all day. And it's a little annoying. Why are people opening their stores on Thanksgiving? A lot of people are like, yeah, well, I've got Black Friday. We'll get up early on Black Friday and go shopping. But Thanksgiving, I'm a little annoyed about. This year that her store has decided to open, and I actually just found out that next year for Christmas the store will be open all day. What happened? Now that Paul is back, what happened to Thanksgiving?
What happened to any? I mean, holding any kind of holiday as I guess I don't want to say sacred, but at least being something. We all deserve a break, We all deserve a break from the action, and consumerism has just run so wild that if we don't have somewhere to go to buy the things that we need, it's I don't know, man. It's I think on Real Time with Bill Maher last week, he made a comment about this whole thing, and he had said that it's something along the lines, we are heading down a path where holidays are going to simply be for rich people.
Yeah. How did we lose the point of being thankful for what you had?
I don't know. I just do think it's consumerism run amok. I mean,
The way that people act too to get these deals on those days, Black Friday, and what's going to turn out to be Thanksgiving now when stores are open at 6 a.m. How did it get to this point? I mean, people are beating each other, and this is a Christian nation, air quotes.
Right.
Come on.
it's pretty unbelievable. It's really pretty disgusting the way people conduct themselves in the name of buying stuff. And it's just sad that so many people are going to have to miss out on the tradition that they've come to know and love so they can serve these people who are just ravenous to buy stuff. And
I would rather be asleep on my couch from turkey-induced coma.
yeah. I've refused to even buy anything on Black Friday for like the past 2 or 3 years because it's gotten so ridiculous.
I just can't help but wonder how people can even think it's okay. Well, I don't even understand how it makes sense.
I think it's indefensible. I mean, how do you defend making someone work on a holiday just so people can shop? I mean, why is that okay?
But I get people saying, well, the only reason why you don't like it is because you don't get to see your wife. You should be thankful that she has a job. It's like, I am thankful that she has a job. But I also know that that's a time where your family gets together, you sit around the table and you have discussion and you get to know each other. I mean, a lot of people don't like their family.
Yeah.
I mean, there's those frustrations. But at the same time, it's just, I care about my wife and I want to see her. And this is supposed to be the time that I get to see her. And it's a little frustrating to see the way that people act. People turn into animals and they just their consciousness of care for one another just disappears.
Yep, I understand. I don't have anybody that close to me as a wife. I have some acquaintances that are working on that day, and your wife's my friend, but it still really bothers me. I mean, and that's such a terrible excuse to say. You should be lucky. You should feel lucky to have a job. Well, sure, but why is that your way of justifying places being open? That makes no sense, actually, if you think about it. You should just be lucky you should feel lucky to have a job. Well, sure, but can't you kind of see it from their perspective? It's easy for you to say as you're sitting with your family, stuffing your face on Thanksgiving Day. Show a little empathy. Show a little empathy and stand up for those people who wish they were in the same place you were. We don't need to have these places open on that day. We can shut down for one day, can't we? Just so everyone can have a rest and everyone can see their family that they don't get to see very often. A lot of these people that you see on days like Thanksgiving and Christmas, you see maybe once a year, maybe twice.
Exactly.
And is it too much to ask that all of us across the country can have those days? I mean, guys like Franklin Roosevelt, and back in those days when we started unionizing, we set up these holidays, these national holidays, so everybody could have their time of rest. We set up the 8-hour work days. We set up the
exactly,
and now we're getting away from those things. We're doing it for the benefit of the people that are more fortunate than we are. Those that are working on those days are generally people who are less fortunate.
And you're giving the money to those who really don't need it.
Right.
All to say that you have a piece of materialism in your hands. I got a big TV. I got the best toy that there is for my kid.
And all that money is going to the people that are lining their pockets, becoming billionaires while they pay their workers wages that are unlivable.
Hell, Walmart,
Right.
for example. You saw the picture that's been floating around on Facebook.
The whole food drive so our associates can...
Our less fortunate associates so they can have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
When they'll be working.
Yes. We don't pay our associates enough money so that they can have a wonderful Thanksgiving, so we're asking our more fortunate associates to donate food to our less fortunate associates.
Anybody that's out there listening right now, if anyone's listening, and I'm sure there is, we're getting downloads, I would like to get if we could, an influx of emails. If you are in favor of these places being open, I'd like to know why. I'd like to hear one good, compelling reason for why any of these places should be open. And if you don't see a problem with it, I'm all ears as to how it's okay. How can you defend this?
On that same note, those who are listening, I hope that you look at this as a ridiculous thing that's even happening. And I hope, you know what, please contact us, email us, tell us that you have decided not to do anything, that you've decided not to go shopping on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, hell, Saturday and Sunday. Just stay away. Just don't give that money. Why do you need to buy these things? Really think about why you want to buy these material things. I understand that we like to have things, but at the same time, the idea that that you have to go get these amazing deals on these things that you probably don't even really need, that will probably wind up trash one day and on a garbage heap somewhere leaking toxic bullshit. It's just, I mean, when you think about that, think about all that stuff that you have, do you really need it?
Right.
As I sit here in my room with all this stuff. It's, I don't know, maybe we really just need to start thinking about what the hell we're spending our money on.
Yeah. Do we really need to replace our TV every couple of years? Do we really need to... Do we have to buy that DVD? Do we have to, or Blu-ray or whatever, if you're up on the technology as I am, who we're just talking about buying stuff. I had to have that Blu-ray player. I guess it's just, maybe we're hitting on the problem right here as we're sitting here complaining and berating this tradition. I guess this rising tradition.
Right.
That's actually detrimental to a lot of people in this country. Maybe we have helped in that, I guess. I mean, because it's just a buy. That's all. Like, we read that Huffington Post story about it. I mean, maybe there are some things in life we need to be more conservative about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I completely agree. I kind of, that's part of the reason why I dislike, I mean, I think there are some things where I am conservative. But I think that there's one really cool thing, one aspect to think about all this, and when you realize that you're spending money on a bunch of crap that you don't really need, think about what it's like to be living as a minimalist. If you can figure out that you don't need to have these things, think about the things that you can do with yourself. Think about the places you can go see. Think about the different cultures that you can interact with that you would not have known, and help you understand the world better.
Right.
Call me an idealist. But I mean, to me it only makes sense, and that's the only way you're going to get everything out of this world that you could ever imagine and hopefully feel fulfilled with when you die.
Right. And also, not blowing your money on things all the time will also grant you some financial security. And it's just sad that it's gotten to this point. We've got to we've got to reclaim our holidays. People deserve a break. People deserve to see their families at least once a year. We can shut down. We can do this.
It's okay not to go shopping. I feel a little bit better. I know that you don't have a whole lot of time. I know that you've got to get going. I'm not going to finish this list other than the fact that there's people like Bill Nye, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe. There's some people in there that make a lot of sense. But there is this new website that I just found called truth-saves.com. Not an underscore, so it's truth-saves.com. And it looks like a wonderful website. I haven't dug into it completely, but I did run across this, and I found a lot of quotes from a lot of famous people that are just really cool to read through.
Oh, yeah.
And the top one here is, I don't believe in heaven and hell. I don't know if I believe in God. All I know is that as an individual, I won't allow this life, the only thing I know to exist, to be wasted.
That's great.
One of my favorite quotes.
And it's by, of all people,
George Clooney.
yeah. No, I don't mean that, of all people.
I think he's shown himself to be much in that line of thought. I mean, he's a humanitarian, and he does a lot of really good stuff.
He's a pretty bright guy. I liked a couple of these from I was surprised to see him on on this page, Frank Sinatra.
Oh, yes.
See, I like this one. I believe in you and me. I believe in nature, in the birds, the sea, the sky, and everything I can see or that there is real evidence for. But I don't believe in a personal God to whom I look for comfort or a natural on the next roll of the dice. Frank Sinatra.
That guy had the world at his fingertips.
He had the world on a string.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, that's better. And speaking of a personal God, the one right below it, which is even better. This is, I think we've kind of quoted it once before on the show.
It's one of my all-time favorite quotes.
But this guy, a lot of the Christian population try to claim this man because he's one of the most brilliant. In fact, if you want to go through history, this guy contributed some amazing things, and science is still going. I do not. Science is still building off of his thoughts, his ideas. I do not believe in a personal God, and I have never denied this, but have expressed it clearly. If something is in me which can be called religious, then it is the unbounded admiration for the structure of the world so far as our science can reveal it. Mr. Albert Einstein. Suck it.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's a great page. It's got some inspiring quotes, and sometimes these quotes really do hit people. I mean, I remember when I was kind of on the fence about belief, some of these quotes have been what had got the wheels turning in my mind.
It's like, wow, this person's thinking this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A conservative in the mix of all this, well, let me just read it first.
Okay.
Organized religions in general, in my opinion, are dying forms. They were all very important when we didn't know why the sun moved, why weather changed, why hurricanes occurred or volcanoes happened. Modern religion is the end trail of modern mythology. But there are people who interpret the Bible literally. Bruce Willis.
That's a good one. That's
I really enjoy that. There's a lot of really good ones in here.
I'm going to read one real quick. This is not on this page. This is just from my personal cache here. This is from Sam Harris. We all know who Sam Harris is.
And if you don't, read about him.
Yeah, The End of Faith is his biggest claim to fame. He also has a letter to a Christian Nation. That's a popular one, but the quote here is, "This universe is shot through with mystery. The very fact of its being and of our own is a mystery absolute and the only miracle worthy of the name."
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman is one of my favorites too. Mm-hmm. Not only is she extremely attractive,
but extremely intelligent as well.
I don't believe in that. She refers to the afterlife. I believe this is it, and I believe it's the best way to live. Short and sweet.
Yeah, and makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, excellent page.
Quotes by Jon Stewart. And I think Gwyneth Paltrow, I think her quote, I mean, we can, if I know that you got to go, maybe we read this one, because this one resonates with me a lot.
Okay.
Check out this page. We'll end the show, because I know you got to go home. Religion is the cause of all the problems in the world. I don't believe in organized religion at all. It's what separates people. One religion just represents fragments. It causes war. More people have died because of religious conflict than any other reason. Gwyneth Paltrow. You could dig a whole show into that.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, and Sam Harris is The End of Faith touches on that topic quite a bit, and throughout that book, his warning regarding religion being a cause of a lot of violence is now we have apocalyptic weapons, and those weapons in the hands of fundamentalists, it's a very dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Peter Boghossian has actually expounded upon that, in that that's why faith is dangerous. That's why faith is something that needs to be challenged, and he considers it a virus of the mind, and I agree with him.
And there are way too many people there are a lot of us who are wonderful people who are right there it's faith. They believe in God. There's a lot of people who are probably not going to matter with that, but there are fundamentalists. The truth is, fundamentalists of anybody probably interpret their religious book closest than anyone else does. Mm-hmm. And when you think about that, and you think about all the things that you choose not to accept out of your book of faith, your Christian Bible, your whatever it is, think about the fact that you're not following the thing all the way through because you think some of it's stupid.
Right.
Just think about that.
Right.
Think about the fact that you're not following things in your book because you think it's ridiculous. And understand that it's in there, and that is the basis of the God that you believe. That's the word of your God.
It's in there. And just remember, there are 2 sections of the Old Testament. The first 5 books, the law, and the remaining books, the prophets. Stop using that excuse that the Old Testament doesn't matter, because Jesus Christ himself is quoted in Matthew 5:17 and 18, and I've brought this up on the show before. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill. Okay? So right there, that's Jesus telling you, no, you can't buck the Old Testament. Tell me what that tells you about your religion.
We just got serious.
Hey, it was a fun show up until that point. I guess we had to get a little serious for a second.
Please don't shop on Black Friday if you can. Please don't shop on Thanksgiving.
Especially Thanksgiving.
Please think about people's families. I mean, seriously, yes, I'm an atheist. Yes, I'm a humanist. I believe in humanity. I believe in peace and friendship and being merry with all your friends and having a great time, and there's no reason that people shouldn't be allowed to afford that on a holiday. Check out these websites, truth-saves.com. I'm going to continue searching through it. Again, BuzzFeed.com is where we got the famous atheists. We'll put these links down. Please, by all means, share us everywhere if you can, because I know that we're getting more and more listeners, which is freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving it. I don't know how it's happening, but evidently we're resonating with some people, which is great.
Yeah.
I think the more of us that are out there, the better it is. The better people are thinking and listening, talking. We may not be experts, but I mean...
Right. But, we are people, and our opinions we're worthy of giving our opinions. And also, I just want to encourage everyone to take advantage of that email. Send us some feedback, comments, questions, suggestions for improving the show, anything.
We want to hear from you. I've already heard from a couple people, which is awesome. They're
Great.
Short, but beinghumanist.podcast.com. beinghumanist.podcast@gmail.com.
You're never going to get that thing right.
beinghumanist.podcast@gmail.com. Please get at us. We're also on Facebook. We still don't have any likes. I should probably just like the page just to get it started.
Yeah.
But we're on Facebook, facebook.com/beinghumanist.podcast. And we're other places as well. But please email us. Say hi. Tell us whether we suck or whatnot. And tell us whether... Or if you guys show ideas. You want to hear us talk about certain things, I mean, yeah I'm down for it.
Right. Definitely.
We love you.
We do. Very much.
Dirty atheists.
Heathens.
Keep thinking, people.
Yes. Keep thinking.
I am Mike,
And I'm Paul.
and we will have a really awesome show when Paul decides to come out of the